One of the big things I hear from people is, where do I start downsizing? And our goal today is all about education, not selling. What do I do? How do I do it? Where do I start? I don't know what to do. So we're going to be talking about the real estate market, of course, but then we're going to talk about who can help me pack, who can help me sort, and what do I do with the proceeds of my money when I've sold my house. It's going to be a good day.
My name is Ian Thompson, and I'm from Remax in Nanaimo. I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the Downsizing seminar today. We're going to be here for about an hour and a half, maybe a little shorter, depends how fast we go, depends how many questions you guys have. And please make sure you ask us lots of questions, because we have some great speakers lined up today. Obviously, we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about the real estate market, what's happening with it, where I think it's going. And then Raylyn is going to be here. Raylyn's going to talk about downsizing and what to do with your stuff. So who thinks that's a huge problem? What to do with your stuff? Everybody thinks they got too much stuff. And then when we're done with that, my friend Dale Harvey here is going to talk about what to do with the money you have left over, right? So you sold your house for $1 million. You know our average price is $1 million now in Nanaimo? Who would have thought that? Who would have thought our average price would be for $1 million? COVID did that to everything. COVID changed everything for people. We're going to talk about that. And so Dale's going to talk about how to invest the proceeds down the road, okay? So we're just going to get started here. So we're going to talk about the top 5 concerns when downsizing. And Raylyn is going to come on as our local business to help with this process. Yes, there is. Isn't there, Raylyn? There is. Absolutely. Then how to invest the net proceeds on the move, and then we'll have some talk about the real estate market, etc. So this is who I am. I've been a realtor for 18 years at Remax. I'm a seniors real estate specialist. I have a podcast called Your Longest Life. That podcast is about how to live your best life till you're 100. So who wants to live to 100?
I do.
Right on. Let's do it. Absolutely. Hey, if you're healthy, why not? So that's that podcast. You want to check that out. That's a lot of fun on there. And I have a real estate channel for education. It's called 60 Seconds with Ian. If you ever have questions about real estate, make sure you find that. It's on all social media. All right. First, I want to talk about what's happened in British Columbia in COVID times. Who's tired of COVID? Please. No more talk of COVID. Anyway, so what happened? And how did the real estate market get to where it is? This comes from BCREA. These are slides that talk about unprecedented household savings. So people stayed home. We didn't travel. And what did we do with our money? We hung on to it. And to a record level, 80 billion with a B in Canadian bank deposits. That's a lot of money. And people are wondering what to do with it. So what happens to a market that gets out of balance? We call it balanced market. Balanced market is where it takes about 4 or 5 months to sell a house. Now, if you know anybody who's sold a house or tried to sell a house in the last 6-8 months, it takes sometimes 24 hours. Sometimes it takes less than that. Usually, today's market, your house should be sold in 10 days or less. Typical market, 30 to 45 days. We'll talk about why that is. Well, you see here, in British Columbia, we need 40,000 active single-family listings to be what we call balanced. That's enough for everybody. And we currently have 13,000. So we're 25,000 single-family homes short in British Columbia. So when you have more demand, less inventory, it's inevitable prices are going to go up. Prices are on the rise. It seems like they're going to keep going. Here's BC household savings. We talk about in Canada. Here's BC, $23 billion. That's how much money is saved. What are we going to do with that money? Record home sales. This is where we are. 2021, 125,000 single-family homes sold in British Columbia. Where are the people coming from? Well, we know they're coming from all parts of Canada. They're coming from Alberta. When we talk about Vancouver Island, we know they're coming from the Lower Mainland in a big way, right? People want to be, during the pandemic and now post-pandemic, because we have phones, we can work anywhere. Previous to that, honestly, people didn't move to Nanaimo unless you had a job. That was pretty standard. We moved here 30 years ago. If you had a job at the mill or a job, RCP or something, you were moving to Nanaimo. Now, if you have a phone, of course you bring your job with you. We don't need a job here. A lot of people don't rely on the local economy for work, which makes it, why would I stay in Vancouver then and commute, time in a car? They want what we have. Look at this beautiful day we have. We're so lucky, huh? So this talks about the city of Nanaimo itself. What do we have for population? 118,000. You probably saw those recent things in the newspaper about one of the top cities in Canada for growth. And what's that going to do to our local town as far as where's everybody going to live? We are an island, ocean on one side, mountain on the other. It's going to have to be multifamily. It's going to have to be density. More and more people in smaller and smaller spaces. Matter of fact, in the future, I believe, owning a single-family home will be considered a real luxury. You think about how England used to be. Only the very royal people had actual ownership of land. Most people were tenants. Most people were tenants, and many people in Nanaimo will be tenants, are tenants, and will be tenants. If you think about it, if a house is $1 million, you need $100,000 as a down payment. And how many people have $100,000 for a down payment? Unless they get it from mom and dad, grandpa and grandma or something, right? So, but they can afford $2,500 for rent. So they can make the mortgage payment, but without the down payment, they can't buy a house. And hence, more people are going to be renting. So we'll talk about that a bit too. What about mortgage rates? We know mortgage rates have been at all-time lows, and they are, of course, forecast to go up. They kind of have to go up, don't they? Interest rates can't really stay low forever. I always say an elevator has two buttons, right? Can't just be down. So the challenge is for interest rates that a lot of people that buy on Vancouver Island are paying cash, right? They're not getting mortgages. There's lots of people we deal with that don't need mortgages. So if interest rates go up a little bit, it's not going to impact them. It's not really going to affect us. Now it's going to affect people that are obviously getting a mortgage, first-time buyers like that. But we don't see a huge impact on that at this point. And what's our sales forecast? Where do we think we're going to go? Well, for Vancouver Island, we think that the sales themselves will drop. The number of homes sold will fall, but the prices will stay what we call and be sticky. Sticky prices. They don't tend to drop the way I think some buyers wish that they would, hope that they would. We hear that from people, so I'm going to wait till the market turns till the prices come down. Well, if you think of Vancouver, there's a slide coming up on Vancouver. If the average price is $2 million in Vancouver, if the price goes down 10%, does it matter? If it goes down 20%, is that affordable on $2 million? 20% off? Still a lot of money. So affordable is a whole different world now for people. So we'll see fewer sales, but prices are going to stay high, as you can tell there. Why are prices rising? We talked about the prices, Vancouver, Nanaimo $750, now it's $1 million. Lack of homes for sale. And that's, I'm sure, what people are thinking today. Homeowners are afraid they won't find a place to buy. Is that a reason you don't have your house on the market? Right now, people thinking of selling. Where would I go? Right? And we'll talk about some strategies on how to make that work for you. It's not risk-free. Right? Nothing is risk-free. There has to be some bit of risk you're going to take if there isn't a perfect place to go to. But there's ways we can mitigate that risk. So relentless demand, one of the best places to live in Canada. The secret's out. We all know that now. Don't we? North of the Malahat had the highest appreciation of prices in British Columbia last year. North of the Malahat, 38%. About, Joe? About 38% increase in price, highest in British Columbia. More than Victoria, more than Vancouver, because of the demand, people coming here. So this just gives you an idea. Here's a quick slide I did November, December, January. Number of single-family homes sold. So you see we had 100 sold, 72, 60. We only had 50 listings. How does that work? 60 sales and 50 listings? That's why they go so quickly, and our average is $1 million.
That's for new.
70% of all homes sold went over asking price, an average of $100,000. Condominium about $45,000, $48,000. That's the good news, isn't it? If you're a homeowner, you know, lots of people that have a house 30 years paid $75,000, and it sells for $900. That's pretty good, right? It's your primary residence. There's no tax on that. Hopefully that won't change, right? I don't want to say that again in case the government does that. They talk about that, but I don't think so. And that's a seller's market. That's what this chart shows. In here, 4 or 5 months, those numbers are months of inventory. Buyer's market. You know, we talk about these markets in funny ways. A buyer's market means that there are more listings than buyers. A seller's market is the exact opposite. There's more buyers than listings. It's funny how that works. But it wasn't that long ago, it was a buyer's market. If you had your house on the market, it was pretty slow. And we'd be wondering, where is everybody? Now it's switched again. And it's always moving. We always say the market is like sand, it shifts. It's not concrete, it doesn't get poured and stay that way. So it's always on its way somewhere. And here's our assessments. It's an interesting slide. Our average assessment up 34%. That sound about right? Your assessment up about that number? Some 40. It's gone up quite a bit. You can see the other areas of town, of the island. Now, one thing to remember, that number is not market value. Right? Assessment and market value are totally different. They don't have any bearing on each other. Assessment's last July, and this is, you know, spring 2022. So you're going to see your house much higher than that number. It should be. It should be.
How do they
Yes.
determine assessment? What determines that versus the market value?
The question is, what determines assessment versus market value? Assessments are done on sales that have happened in the past. Market value is what we think as realtors today, what's the demand and what's the future look like in the next 30, 45 days. It's a very short window when you look at what the market value is of a home today. You know, if you have a level entry in a home with a suite and a view in North Nanaimo, and there's 2 for sale, and we know there's a lot of people, that value is high, isn't it? Because there's just not enough inventory to meet the demand. We don't know for sure, but assessments are easier to do because it's based on what's happened. It's actual sales up till that point. So we look at the future, and that's looking at the past. Any questions on that? That's how that works. Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
mean this like assessed value and market value, like, to my mind, market value is what you can get.
Yeah. Today.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay,
And next month it could shift.
right.
It will shift. Like and there's so many variables. Assessments, there's no variables. It's done. It's all happened. These 6 sales, your house is similar. We had a great guy at our sales meeting. That's what they're doing. They're just looking at the past. We're going, hey, interest rates just went from 2.5 to 5.5, theoretically. And now fewer people can afford. Your value's gone down a bit. You just can't afford your house anymore. But if the interest rates stay low and you have a rural demand house with a suite, anything with a suite in Nanaimo, it's huge demand. So if your house has a suite, it's a phenomenal thing. Many reasons. Number one is the price, right? If it's $1 million, then getting $1,600 downstairs is a big deal, right? You need that money. Or with COVID, we're seeing more blended families coming back together. We talked about that, earlier. What people are paying to live in a retirement home, $6,000. Talked about that, right? So some people are saying, hey, I give my kids $3,000 and keep the other $3,000 and we'll get a house together. And I get a basement suite, I get to keep my little dog, and et cetera, see the grandkids. So we're seeing more of that, for sure. This is a good slide. What's your house worth? Well, your lender thinks it looks like this. You think it looks like that. The buyer thinks, oh, it's a little shack. The appraiser thinks the roof falling off, and the tax guy, the city, he loves your place. Right?
That's true.
He thinks it's a castle. I always show this to the mayor. I said, Mayor Krog, that's what you think. So that gives you an idea how many different ways there are to look at the value of your house. Everything's different. It's not the same. So, how can I list my home for sale if I haven't found a new one? So here's some ideas. What do you do if you haven't found a place to go? Number one, secure loan completion. We're seeing more of this. We did one of these last week. So I had buyers here from Vancouver. They want to buy a house. And we said, why don't we make the completion in June? So they have all of March, all of April, all of May to sell their house on the mainland. So it's 2022. It's busy. Will they sell their house in the mainland in 90 days? That's a pretty high odds that it will. Remember I said there's no risk? But on a scale of 1 to 10, is that house going to sell in 90 days in the lower mainland? 9.5. It is. Now, it does make you think, and real estate is always about motivation. It's the number one word. Why are we moving? How important is it that we move to Vancouver Island? How important is it that you sell your house? I found another one. I've been looking for a while. If I have to sell this house for $1,150,000 instead of $1,200,000, is it worth it? That's the kind of questions you have to be asking yourself. Is it worth it to take $50,000 less? I'm still making $800,000 on my house. That's pretty good. Tax-free. Maybe I'll take a little less to get the house at one. So that's a good one, I think. Long completion. Number two, rent back your own home. Has anyone ever done this? People from Vancouver want to move here, but they don't want to retire yet. They're going to retire next year. So you sell your house now. $1 million, you get your money. That's good. And then you sign a rental agreement for your own house. $2,500 a month. You know your house. They love you as a tenant. Why wouldn't they? It's your house. You're not going to do anything to it. Now you've got a year. Are you going to find a house in a year? Do you think you'll find a place to live in a year? Probably. I think there's a good chance that you could. I think we could find you a place in a year. So that's a good way to do it. Number three, have a seller's condition subject to you finding a home. Don't really recommend this one. We showed a house in Qualicum 2 weeks ago. There was a house like this. And the seller said, I'll only move if I can buy this one specific house. I've been waiting. It's going to come on. It's going to be great. So they wanted the buyers to make their offer subject to them getting an accepted offer on that specific house. And it didn't work. So now my buyer's like, well, wait a minute, I just stopped looking for 10 days while you tried to buy a house and it didn't work. Now nobody's got anything. So I don't recommend that one. Number four, worst case scenario, you turn down the offer, you don't move. You know what, you're always in control. You're always in control. Just because you list your house doesn't mean you have to sell. That's important. Just because you have a 4-month agreement with us to sell your house, we don't go, too bad, you're moving, truck's coming. We tried that, it didn't go well. So we don't do that, right? If you're 2 months in, you're thinking to yourself, geez, I'm not comfortable, Ian, I'm not happy with this, then we'll take it off the market. It's not a problem. So you're always in control. So there's 4 ideas for you. How to find a house, sell your home if I haven't found a new one. Okay, let's talk about steps to getting your home on the market. Number 1, set the asking price. Here's my tip on that one. Don't select an agent based on the price they give you. Okay? So we do recommend you talk to 2 or 3 people, get different opinions. but spend time picking the right agent and together set the price. Set time picking the right agent you're comfortable with and together set the price. Anybody can tell you more than market value to get the listing. Anybody. And then they'll just hound you to lower the price because it's too high. Because that's how they got the listings. I hate saying that, but that's the reality of what happens sometimes. So find somebody you're comfortable with. Ask them what they do for marketing. Marketing your home is all about what's online today. It's all about your phone. Everything's on your phone, right? I was on the way today. I dropped my granddaughter at school. We're by McGurr School in the crosswalk in front of Dover High School, and the kids are coming across on their phones like this, right? Right in the middle of the crosswalk. Oh, is there a car? Oh, right? Everything's on the phone. All of us are like that. We all have attention deficit disorder. I hate saying that. My granddaughter has that. I'm not being flippant, but I'm telling you, attentions are never been shorter right now. Some people on their phone right now going, I don't know. I thought this was going to be good. I'm just kidding. Anyways, number 2, invest 1% of your asking price in improvements. Your house is $1 million. Let's use $1 million. Why not? It's the average price. 1% is $10,000. So what you do is you come up to your own house, stand on the street, and look at it. And think, why have I never fixed the front door? Right? Why does the garden look like no one's done anything in it in 5 years? Because no one has. Right? It's your house, and we tend to get comfortable on our own house and overlook imperfections that buyers don't. Buyers want the door to work. They want landscaping to work. I mean, 1% of 10,000, you could spend $3,000 or $4,000 on front landscaping in a hurry to make your house look great. Change the carpet inside. If you have purple carpet, no one likes purple carpet. We did a survey, it came in last. Right? We've had homes for sale with purple carpet, honestly, with no action. We change the carpet, paint it, it sells. Right? Buyers come into your house, and in the first 30 seconds, their mind is doing this. Do I see myself living here? No. They're out. I always like when a house is for sale, the seller goes to the neighbors and watches. Right? They watch what the people are doing. Do you do that?
I did this.
See? I knew it.
It's cold.
And then as soon as we go in, we're out in a minute, and they say, they didn't even go downstairs. No, because they don't care. They're not going to go downstairs. If you don't grab them, when the door opens, I feel I can live here. It doesn't matter what the rec room looks like. It doesn't matter if you painted the bathroom upstairs. It won't matter, right? So you have to make it look good. Do the 1%. Next one, use a home stager. Make sure your home flows. Raylan's going to talk about that. Haley is going to talk about that, sorry. So what does flow mean? Just quickly, flow means that you set up the room, you're a Canucks fan, you move the chair this way in the middle of the room, and you put your feet up, and that's where your beer goes, but the room that's actually where people are supposed to walk. Like a house has a flow to it, but we make the house for us. So when you're moving, you have to get out of that world, make it for the next buyer. That's what flow means. And be open to change as professionals suggest. Very difficult. Easy for me to say, tough to do. Tough for somebody to come into your house and think, you know what? You guys are shaking your head because you know. This isn't going to work this way. We need to move some things around. Remember, you're moving now. It's not your house anymore. As soon as you put your house on the market, it's not yours. Think of it that way. It's not mine. I just want to sell it. Right? Okay. Maybe that's just my garage. One day, son, all this will be yours. Oh, exciting. The son's going, no. I have no interest, actually. Yeah, and I know Raylan and Haley are going to talk about this more, but whatever you think your furniture is worth, it isn't. right? The oak dining room suite that you bought $10,000 at the Bay 20 years ago, more than likely, you can't even give it away. And the reason is, people don't have dining room suites. People don't have dining rooms. 2022, for lots of families, they don't have dining rooms. They eat on their lap, right? On their phone. Yeah. People don't come over. They have stools in the kitchen. Man, we go into house people with dining rooms, and people say, "What goes on in here?" Buyers will say to us, "What happens in this room?" Well, it's called a dining room. We used to get together and eat. That's weird. So what do? They make it an office. They repurpose it as a place for their kids to play, but they don't sit down and eat. Just doesn't happen anymore. So Leighton's going to talk about this a little bit more. Okay, where do I move? What do I do with all my stuff? Work to be done before selling, the costs involved, and how to invest the proceeds. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. Number one, where do I move to? Let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, if you're downsizing, option number one is you're going to move to a smaller home, right? Smaller home with no strata fees. We'll get to strata fees on condominiums. Regular maintenance, repairs, hard to find in Nanaimo. One of the hardest things to find here is a rancher. A rancher is a single family home with one level, no stairs. They are the ones that are going 100, 200,000 over asking. Total supply and demand. So if you have a rancher you want to sell, woohoo, happy days are here. No problem. There is demand for that, but it's very hard to find. So if you're focused on, I want to sell a big 3,500 square foot house and find a rancher, you might have to be open to moving to Parksville. Parksville has lots of ranchers. For some reason they have lots of land there, flat land. Ours is, of course, not like that. So that's harder to find. Number two is a condominium with an elevator. Townhome with its own front door. Cameron Island obviously is a condominium with an elevator. Townhome or a patio home, you can just drive right in. Now, talk about strata fees. You've heard about strata fees and depreciation reports. We're going to talk about that. A monthly strata fee in a condominium is designed to look after the common area of the property. So you don't cut the grass, you don't wash the windows, you don't fix the roof, but somebody has to. That work still has to be done on a building. So we used to think that low strata fees was a good thing. We used to be excited about that. $200, fantastic. But $200 isn't enough money to look after things that inevitably need to be done. It needs to be a roof. When they put the roof on the Beacon, the big building at Cameron Island downtown, cost $1 million. The roof, just the roof. Put a new one on. Where does that money come from? It either comes from you, the owner, every month, or a special assessment. Special assessment is they knock at the door. Mr. Thompson, turns out we're a little short. We need $5,000 from you, $10,000 from you. Latest one is $75,000 in town per owner to renovate the building. So it's the old pay me now, pay me later. So now, when we're out looking at a building, especially an older building, and they say the strata fees are low, that's a big alarm for us, and it should be for you. What's a depreciation report? Depreciation report is, it's a funny document. It's required by the British Columbia government, but it's not required to be implemented. It's a government thing. So they hire engineers, they come into your building, and they look 30 years down the road, and they say the elevator is going to be $500,000, the windows are going to be $300,000, the roof is going to be $800,000. Together, that's $20 million. You're going to need this much money in the next 30 years. So you're either going to do a special assessment or raise the interest rates. Now, unfortunately, this government doesn't require stratas to implement them. So some stratas get them and put them in the drawer down here and ignore the answers. And it's awful when that happens because special assessments are high. Because owners think, well, I'm selling in 2 years. I'm selling in 3 years. I don't want to put money in. I'm just gonna hope it doesn't leak, right? I hope it doesn't leak on me. And you either have to do a new depreciation report every 3 years, or you have to vote not to do one every year at your annual meeting. So your buyer's agent representing you is helping you navigate all this work on a strata. It's very important. Strata fee also covers insurance. Insurance is going up. One of the buildings that we're looking at, the water deductible, if there's a leak in your suite, is $50,000. Okay? And the reason is, if you're on the 20th floor of a 30-floor building, and your dishwasher goes, and you're on holidays, it's never when you're home. Right? It's always when you're on holidays. You're gone for 2 weeks. Everybody has granite below you. Everybody has hardwood floors. All that has to get fixed. All that's an insurance claim. So the good news is you can get insurance for the deductible. So you take the building's policy to your own insurance and you get content insurance plus insurance for the deductible. So if there is a leak, your insurance covers that. That's important. You don't want to miss that. It's a big miss. Because the number one issue in British Columbia with strata is water leaks. Dishwasher. The water line that goes to your fridge for the ice, gin and tonic. Oh, damn it. Yeah. That happens all the time. Don't get a water line to your fridge in a condo. Don't do that. Raises the odds of your leaks big time. Big time. Option number 3, you can rent. Now this is becoming more of an option for people. Why would I rent? No strata fees. Woohoo! Somebody else's problem. Right? I don't want to buy anymore. I've had a good life. I've enjoyed my house. I've got some money. I want to invest it somewhere else. I want to rent. Somebody else can fix it. The dishwasher goes, I need a new one. They bring it. What's wrong with that? That sounds good. Now the exception is Deerwood. Who knows what Deerwood is? Deerwood's a retirement home, okay? Not retirement home, retirement place. And Deerwood is unique because you're actually a tenant even though you own the building, and you're still responsible for a lot of your own things in there. So the rent there is about $500 a month. But you still have to cut your own grass. There's still a water fee. You're still your own house that you have to look after if the roof leaks, not a strata fee. And in a strata, you have a say with what goes on. If there's 20 units, you're one of 20, you get a vote. We decided that we don't want to have rentals anymore, let's say, and you vote on it. At Deerwood, they give you the rules. And you say, but I don't like this rule. They say, no problem, don't live here. Right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. What about my opinion? They'll say, well, if we want your opinion, we'll give it to you. They don't want your opinion. You're a tenant. It's totally different than a strata. So you have to look at those rules. You have to approve. The dog can only be this size, or no dogs, or whatever. No rentals, no kids. But why do people like Deerwood? People love Deerwood for 2 reasons. Number one, it's gated. Right? It's gated, a sense of security. And it's a great clubhouse. That's a great clubhouse. Nothing wrong with that. Being social is a good thing. Right? Japanese call that your ikigai. But how do I stay social? How do I stay connected to people when you're retired? That's important. That's what Deerwood has there. That's why the 2 reasons people love Deerwood. There. Is there a question? Did I miss something? No? Okay. Now, this is just an example of what you can rent. This is a brand new, purpose-built rental building for 55 plus in Nanaimo. It's the first one. It's on Uplands. It's at the corner of Uplands and McRaw. There's a brand new building there. I have plans moving in there in a couple of months. It's just what you're looking for. Brand new, great location. Don't want to buy again. No strata fees, no issues. I just move in and relax. Invest my money somewhere else. So that's an idea. That's opening in a couple of months. If you haven't seen that, just an
How much
example.
is the
Yes.
rent?
I think it starts at 16 and a quarter.
Oh, is it there?
Yeah. About 16 to 2,000 probably. That seems to be the number for rent. Rents are high in Nanaimo, right? Rents are quite high. They're quite high all over.
What are those there? You need anywhere between 1 or 2 bedrooms or
1 and 2. 1 and 2 bedrooms.
how many square foot?
They're typically between 8 and 900. 2 bedroom is probably 925, 950. Everything's under 1,000. Condos are smaller and rents are higher. I wish it was the other way around, but it's not, right? Condos are smaller, rents are higher. Well, we found that, didn't we? We were looking. My friend Bill's here. We were looking at condos. Okay, number 2, what do I do with all my stuff? How do I dispose it? How do I decide what to keep? Raylin's going to talk about this more. She's going to go up and talk about that, but the main thing is, for me, is it takes longer than you think. Yeah. So if you decide to downsize this weekend, you won't be ready by the next weekend. Right? It takes longer and it's very emotional. I've been through this many, many times with people. It's extremely emotional. We think, sometimes realtors think, oh, we'll just box your things up and put them over here. But the reality is, these are things from your past, from your kids, the stuff that they left you when they moved out 30 years ago. You know, picture them playing hockey or whatever, or old trophies and stuff, and it's easy to say, oh, we're just going to throw it out, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy. So you have to give yourself some time and really decide, okay, what do I want to take with me and why am I taking it? Why am I taking, what am I going to do with it when I get there? Remember, you're moving from 3,000 to 900 square feet, 2,000 to 800 square feet. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? Don't put it in storage. You'll never look at it again anyways. I've had people do that too. I'll just put it in storage for a while. 2 years later, still in storage. 3 years later. Storage is a big business here. It's big. How do I decide what to keep? Raylan's going to talk about that, right? Absolutely. Trying to do too much too soon can be deflating. Enjoy the process, the importance of smaller steps. Right?
Oh, yeah.
This person on the right there, that's a fast downsize. This is a slow one. Slow and steady. So if you want to downsize, if you want to move in July, it's not too soon to get started. It's just not too soon to get started. Right now. Right now. Talk to your friends, see if they'll come over and help. Don't count on your kids. They mean well, but they're busy. Right? We think they might come, but they're busy. And that can be disappointing too. Work to be done at my current home before selling. Rule of thumb, we talked about the 1%. These are some of the updates, I think. Painting, carpet, landscaping. Painting, carpet, landscaping. Get rid of the purple color, we talked about that. Painting. It's not that much to get a few rooms painted, get it touched up. It's amazing when somebody walks through a house, the things that you've overlooked, that wall that hasn't been painted in 20 years. You know, a lot of us live in our house for 20 years, never painted, 15 years, never painted. We see condominiums like that. I'm listing one this week. They moved in 20 years ago and then just moved out. Just enjoyed it, but the carpet's done. Carpet's done. People go, ugh. And buyers always overestimate the cost of repairs. They'll say it's going to be $10,000 to paint this place. No, it's not. It's going to be $4,000. So that's part of what the realtor can help you with, is getting those estimates for you so you can show the buyer, say, yes, it needs flooring. Here's the quote from end of the roll. It's $4,000. It's not $8,000. Same with painting. Same for things like that you can do, right?
Just a question.
Yes.
Do you find that, like in our house, we have all hardwood floors, but we have rugs every place, like in the living room, in the dining room, in the bedrooms. Do people prefer carpets or do they prefer bare hardwood?
As a rule, people don't prefer carpet anymore. Carpet in a bedroom, carpet on stairs, that's about it. It's really, there's a lot of use of laminate now. That is linoleum. That's tough wearing. But I wouldn't redo a whole house in carpet. you can, but that's not what most buyers are looking for. And if you're not sure, it's very easy to give people the credit. We've done that too. You can say, okay, here's our quotes. It needs $4,000 for flooring and $4,000 to get it painted. It's $8,000 on completion day. I'll take $8,000 off the price for you. Right?
Okay.
So you pick the color. That's what I always say to buyers. When I'm working with buyers, I want them to do the work because the owner's on the way out. So if the owner says, oh, don't worry, I'll paint. That's good enough. We're moving to Moose Jaw, woo-hoo, I guess. Right? They're gone. Meanwhile, paint looks like crap. They did a crap job and they're gone. They're gone. So say, don't worry, don't touch the paintbrush, put it down. We'll do that. You give us the money off. We'll hire our people. We're moving in. We want to be satisfied with what we get. So the 1% rule, that's why I don't have a whole bunch of kitchen renovations. That is a lot of money that you could spend, and somebody says, gee, I don't like that color of granite. Wow. Like throwing out granite, that's a lot of money.
So,
Yes?
you know, on the one hand, you're saying you want to invest 1%
Yep.
of the value to fix it up. But on the other hand, in some cases, you shouldn't. You just leave it to the buyer
Yep.
if you're willing to take the hit on the price.
Absolutely.
I see.
So every situation's different. If you have the wherewithal and you have the desire to do the paint before you list, that's great. If you're just like, I'm not up for that, I'm stressed enough just downsizing, great. Then let's just price it accordingly and give the person an allowance. A redecorating allowance. We can call it whatever we want. And they can do it themselves, they can hire someone else, maybe their dad's a painter, who knows, their brother, lots of different situations, right? Costs involved. It's not only the financial costs, but the emotional ones. Meeting new friends at your new home, leaving friends in your area. That's a big thing to think about when downsizing. You know, you're moving away from the neighborhood where your kids grew up, everybody's been there. It's a big deal to think about moving. So you want to consider that. But you're also going to a place where there's new friends, so talk about that as well.
So it helps if you don't have any friends.
Absolutely. Question, well, if you have no friends, you're good. Right on. Okay. Okay, cost to consider. Number one, final cleaning of your home when moving out. Ask your realtor about that. I cover that for people. Right, as part of the service we provide. We're going to talk about that with Xander here in a minute, my move concierge. So the final cleaning out of your home, you're already stressed out enough, right? Nobody likes to clean their home on the way out. Nobody likes to clean your home when you're there. But when you're moving out, it's the last thing you want to do. Movers, be careful who you choose. Ask me first. And the reason that is because we work with movers all the time, and you don't. If you haven't moved in 30 years, just going online looking at a mover, I don't recommend that. We have an excellent moving company. It's called Junk in Our Trunk. His name's Sean Jensen. He's the absolute very best in Nanaimo. I stand by him every time he's moved. My daughter, I don't know how many times she's moved. But
What was his name again?
Sean Jensen.
Okay.
Jenson. Junk in Our Trunk. Yellow truck. He's got a couple of yellow trucks. Dependable, shows up on time, perfect. We've had situations in the last few months, excuse me, movers don't show up. It's moving day, no mover. Mortgage penalty. I put this one on here because some people are shocked at this number. If you have a fixed mortgage, if you have a variable mortgage, it's usually only 3 months interest penalty to get out. So if you have a mortgage on your house, talk to your financial institution when you're thinking of selling. Sometimes the penalty is $10, $12, $15, $20,000. It's a lot of money that you didn't consider. It's like, whoops. So know the costs involved in that, okay? How to invest proceeds. Dale's going to talk about that. He's coming up in a little while from Compass Point Financial. This says, I'm sorry, Tom, we're downsizing, and well, you're the tallest. I'm sorry, Tom, we're downsizing while you're the tallest. That one didn't work. That's okay, we'll move on. Okay, so what is a move concierge? Let's get Xander here. This is my friend Xander, just started working with Ian Thompson and Associates And a move concierge, you know what a move concierge is? A move concierge at a hotel, you get Canuck tickets, they get you that stuff when you're stuck, you don't know what to do. That's what Xander does when you're moving. Xander's available for you, buying or selling, to help you every step of the way, because you're gonna have so many questions about, geez, I need a mover, or Xander, as always happens, a week before you move, the dishwasher breaks. Never fails. I need a new one. I have to get it fixed. Who's a plumber? Xander knows. Xander knows the answer to these questions. He supports you through the process. Someone who knows the answers. He can recommend an A-list team of professionals. I love this one too. Xander knows the answers to the questions you haven't thought of yet. Right? That's what it's like when you're moving. I didn't know I was going to need to know that. Xander knows. He knows the answers. You just haven't got the questions yet. And this is a service that we offer. It doesn't cost any extra. It's an investment we've made to make sure you have the best moving experience. Okay? Thanks, big guy.
Thank you.
There you go. Next up, we have Raylyn and Haley. They're from Refine and Redesign, Style by Savage. They're going to talk about downsizing and organizing your home. Please welcome Raylyn and Haley.
You guys, do I get to use the mic? Can I just talk?
Yeah,
You're already mic'd. That's for this, isn't it? Oh. I got one mic, so if you see her snuggling up to me, we've been friends a long time. She's speaking into this mic. So if we get close, we do like each other, but that's probably why too, right? Anyways, Ian, thanks for having us. My name is Raylyn. Please call me Ray. I am a professional organizer. I also help you get downsized, declutter. It's really a word that I don't like to use a lot, but it's the most common understood word, declutter. I like to say refine, thus refine and redesign. It's a nice way of saying you got way too much stuff and I'm going to help you get it out of your house. So we'll call it whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So I originally was from the island. I spent most of my life growing up here, and I left for 24 years to northern BC where it's very, very cold, and now I'm back and I'm feeling very much at home. So it feels good to be here, and from almost the moment I got here, it's been crazy. I did not realize how many people need a declutterer, a professional organizer, and a downsizer. So life has been super busy for me. So I'm excited to share a little bit with my longtime friend Haley. We've been friends for 37 years. We just seem to keep gravitating back to each other with our work. So I'll let Haley introduce herself and what she does, and then we'll get rolling on downsizing.
Hi, my name's Haley. I've been an interior designer for 22 years. So specializing in everything from renovation, new build, room decorating, styling, staging for the last 22 years. I still do interior design, however, I sort of specialize more in the finishing touches now, and that's why we've come together and amalgamated our two businesses and worked together as a partnership. So we do downsizing. Ray focuses more on the downsizing, the decluttering. I definitely assist her. I take care of the finishing touches, so the styling, the staging, and then I can also help when you move into your new home with purchasing new pieces that fit the space, rejigging the space so everything works. So I do have a few different services that I offer, but this service together is a fantastic service. We're working on a couple of projects now, and it's really amazing how good it makes you feel when you get rid of your stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is, when we talk about getting ready for a move, Ian hit the nail on the head. I always get that one wrong. It's much longer than what people think. It's about 8 to 12 weeks to actually get your house to a place where you're not tripping over things, that you're moving to a smaller 1,000 square foot place. It takes about 8 to 12 weeks. So we tell our potential clients, it's not too early. So if you're thinking, hey, we're gonna maybe sell, we're gonna downsize, we're gonna rent a place in the fall, this is a good time to start going through your stuff. So I thought before we got rolling on the nitty-gritty of the details of downsizing, I wanted to give you a couple little fun facts about your homes. Maybe not your homes, but homes that we work in. Only 20% of the things in your house you actually use. Can you believe that? Only 20% of the things in your house you actually use. I was kind of arguing that, thinking, no, I use more than that. It's 20% average. Here's a scary one. I'm not gonna pick on you, but I might. We spend 3,680 hours in our lifetime, your whole lifetime, looking for your stuff. And I know it's way harder for you.
She spends
Yeah,
more.
so, and I can say this because we've been friends for so long, but I just do this thing now. Here's your keys, they're at the front door in the basket. But you know, and you buy multiple keychains, and you buy multiple blenders because you can't find the bullet that you bought 2 years ago in your pantry, so you go buy a new bullet at Costco, right? So we come in and we've got 4 bullets to sell for you and donate. So this is kind of why this just happens, and I mean this in the kindest way. I don't pick on people because we're all. Okay, I'm sorry. So it's a real thing. 3,680 hours in our lifetime of just trying to find stuff. I'll give you another one. This is I don't know who does the housework in their house.
Who does what?
The housework.
Cleaning.
Cleaning. Well, guess what? I know, I knew there'd be some men. 40% less cleaning when you declutter your house. So can you imagine? You won't have to do anything. Just put one of those motorized vacuums on and you're set. So 40% less cleaning when you declutter your house, because most of the cleaning we're doing is removing things from A to B. We're picking up the stacks of magazines, we're moving banker boxes out of our office. So think how much less housework. I don't know. Do you like housework? Then wow. 1 in 9 women. I'm not going to pick on women. 1 in 9 women are generally late for work because we're trying to find the right belt in our pantry or in our closet. We're trying to find the right thing to go with our outfit. So we're late because we got to look good. But let's talk about garages. Ian and I, we keep bringing up garages, and especially with his, I don't think that son wants that garage. What's so special about garages? I'll tell you what's so special. Lots of businesses have started in garages. Does anyone know a business that started in a garage?
Apple.
Apple. Any another business?
Nike.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow. Another one.
Many successful bands, music.
Yes,
Hey.
garage band.
I'm going to put that into my presentation.
Visual art.
Yeah, so your garages are pretty darn special. Here's another one, Amazon, Disney, Google, Harley Davidson, all started in someone's garage. Bands, I like that, that's good. So they're pretty important places. Typical, who has a garage, who actually has a garage that's got a hobby in there, let's say woodworking?
Gym.
Does anyone have a garage? They say an average household spends 1 to 2 hours a week in the garage doing something, tinkering with tools or yeah, all kinds of stuff. But it's also the most cluttered place in your whole home because it's a dumping zone. It's just a place where just go throw it in the shop or put it in the garage. We in our jobs we open up garages and they haven't been stepped in for 35 years. You know, we just jokingly, we look at each other, we don't say a single thing other than, okay, it's gonna be 3 or 4 days, right? And it's usually 3 or 4 weeks, not straight, but it's and that's the biggest thing about downsizing is what you think might, I think you said this too, Ian, just throw it in a box and get rid of it. It's not typically that way, and mostly because it's your stuff, and we're not in the business of just saying, well, let's just get shoved and jump in the trunk and we'll back right into the garage. It doesn't really work that way. We want to consult with you every step of the way. This is your stuff, your belongings, and we're coming into your space. We want to work with you, and those decisions are super overwhelming. So garages tend to just clearly be that full. So maybe what we'll do is we're going to go next one, I think, Ian. So this was just kind of, and again, see that this is a real garage. Like this is. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, we tell clients, our only rule really when we come in is we absolutely don't want anyone apologizing. We hear lots of apologies. so sorry this is cluttered, so sorry we have so much junk. It's just sort of the only room we really have is no apologies. It's just, it's life, it happens. These are spaces that just get used for all kinds of things other than perhaps what they're not meant to be for. So why do we downsize and declutter? Oh, can we pop out for a quick sec?
Yeah, sure.
Just a couple of things. It's mostly about time. Who doesn't want more time to do things they love? I mean, this island, there's so many places to be, so many places to go off the island, and it just gives you a little bit more time for, more energy put in things that are more important than your stuff. When you declutter your home, you can free up more time to focus on things that are more important to you. So that's kind of really where we come in. We want to help you feel a little freer. I've spent probably sadly to say, moved quite a bit. This is probably the lightest I felt, and I thought when I was moving from a beautiful custom home to a 2-bedroom townhouse here in Nanaimo, I struggled, thinking, this is my stuff, and I need to look at it, and I gotta touch it, but what if I'm gonna use this down the road? But I'll tell you, it was honestly the most lightest I felt. I have just what I need, and so our job is to get you to that point where you're like, you know what, this is all I need, and I'm good with it, and it's a process. I had a few little cries over things that my kids gave me, but we're not saying that you have to throw things away. We can help you figure out ways to keep things without keeping them. Anyways, we'll move on. Let's move on. Benefits of downsizing. Oh yeah, so again, saving money. Sure, you're going to hire us thinking, geez, is this a good investment? It's a good investment because in the long run, you're going to be able to find your stuff. When you do move into your new dwelling, you're going to have less to move. It's going to save you some money because you're going to have less trips of moving things. And the number one thing, honestly, is, you're going to spend less time buying things that you already have. That is what we see the most often, is multiple things in our home. And it's because we can't find them and we don't know where they are. I'm pretty sure that I came here with 3 turkey roasters. I'm pretty sure I did. And now I have none because my daughter, who's 31, she will make turkey. And she's going to go get one of those tinfoil trays. Solved that, didn't we? Okay, so there's lots of benefits. We'll pop on to the next slide. Tips to get started. So we've convinced you, okay, let's do this. We're moving in 6 months, or let's just say you're not moving for another year. Is it too soon to get rolling on getting your house a little decluttered? No. All kinds of reasons. You don't have to, a lot of our clients aren't even moving and they're just calling and saying, listen, I can't get into my beautiful spare bedroom because it's piled high with boxes. I mean, I have a client, her spare bedroom, she wants it to be like a beautiful den, she wants to have a coffee in there, she wants to do some knitting, whatever she wants to do, but she can't get in there. It's full of boxes. So we'll go in there and we'll help her get that place exactly the way she wants. And it is a process. We always say start early because it generally takes more time than what we think. Because we think we're just going to grab some boxes, throw some stuff in. Why does it take so long? Because it's your stuff. It's emotional. We're attached. Somebody gave us this, somebody gave us, a keepsake, and we don't want to let go of that stuff. And I recommend to all my clients that are in this situation, take the time, and I think that was the last one, take some time to reminisce. Like you have to. Sometimes it's like, well, I've got, I'm just thinking about, maybe let me ask you this question. What are some things that are common keepsakes? Photographs. Yeah, photo albums. With the sticky thing that you pull the thing back and it's stuck on there and they're all yellow? Everything's digital, So, we don't do digital photographs, but we can find you somebody that can. So we don't necessarily will sit there and digitalize your photos, but we'll find someone who can do that. Because that's really the best way to do that. Keep a few albums that you want to look through and lift that sticky thing up every once in a while. We're not a real absolute. We're not in the business of saying throw all this stuff out. We want to work with you and keep things that are really important. But what we can help you do is how can we keep that stuff without it being too much stuff? So I give yourself permission, 100%, to, you know, going through your items. You know, I kept my china. I think when I got married, I had this Royal Albert pattern in silver. And I'm dragging it from house to house to house, thinking, oh, my daughter, I'm so glad I have a daughter. She's gonna love all my stuff. So I said to her, hey, I've got all this stuff here in the garage, and I'm in my, you know, third place that I've relocated. Do you want it? She goes, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Mom, but I don't want any of it. And I'm like, what? I've been dragging this stuff around for the last 15 years. What do you mean you don't want it? They don't want it. So after I got over the initial, like, oh, well, I guess my feelings were hurt a bit, maybe, I don't know. But they don't want that stuff. So then I sold it to a bachelor that said, do you mind if I use your silver for my everyday eating? I'm like, fill your boots, go for it. So it feels good to give, you know, it feels good to donate too, right? Anyways, that's just a little kind of sidebar story about our stuff, but it really is an emotional process for sure. So yeah, this is just kind of this is pretty straightforward. We just kind of talk about why do we even care about the spaces? Because they're functional, because we can find the bullet and it's calm, and I actually want to go in this room. Number one thing I hear, overwhelmed. Number two, I don't even want to go in that room. I don't blame them. But I'm going to go in there because we're less detached. We definitely care about our clients. I would say that, I'm going to say humbly, we're good at what we do because we're empathetic with our clients. We know that this is a process for you. And I've been there too. Haley's also walked this as well, moving, you know, all the places that we've lived in. It's not an easy step, so we want to be able to kind of help you with that. So yeah, we want to get you to that point. Picture on the right, that is a typical space before people are moving. So if we walk into a place and say, hi Ray, Haley, we're moving in 4 or 5 months. Can you help us pack our place and get us ready? Right side, typical. Now I don't know about you, but I would rather be packing for you or you packing for yourself by the left. Anybody else agree? And again, the right side is a very typical office space. We're all about this. We're not the home edit by any means, but we are all about, you know, things that are functional, finding things that you can grab easy. Things are labeled. Not everything's labeled. You can see on the left-hand side, we don't label every basket. You know what's in there. The reason why I like to show these is because, especially on the left-hand side, I can guarantee you most people have way too many towels than they use. But what if the washer leaks? We gotta have 19 towels to wipe it up. That was me.
Yes.
Now I have 2, and just hope that the washer doesn't leak. So the nice part about the left-hand side picture, you know what you got. You don't need to go get too much paper towel because you've got 4 Costco bags already in the garage. So it's nice to see what you have, that we don't overbuy and overspend and overclutter. Packing. Who likes to pack? Besides us. It's not a fun job, is it? The number one thing I could probably say about packing and getting ready to actually move out, and it's something that Haley and I do, and we're working with a client right now that a couple of things, we're doing some packing which is actually not going to their home. It's going to their storage locker. So we're doing sort of that in between. We do the packing too for the movers, but we also go in and we can help you get to that point where I'm taking less stuff to my house. So you may be downsizing, moving into a new place, and there's a couple of things that need to happen, and we talk about this in our quote. We need to figure out where things need to go, and we'll get to the sort of the 3 things, and we need to maybe move some of your items somewhere else. Maybe there's a bunch of items going to one of your kids. We can help with that piece. Even helping you figure out what needs to go. We bring our boxes, boom, we're done. So, 3 things: donate, sell, keep. Pretty basic. So, donating. Some people, I've actually had clients that say, can you please donate this to the women's shelter? No problem. Or they say, just take it wherever you want. We also use Sean with Junk in the Trunk. He really is honestly the best. He's so reliable, and he's done us some pretty amazing favors in the 11th hour. Just, he's there, shows up, loads of stuff in. He takes what needs to go to recycling. He takes what needs to go to donation. He takes your books to Rotary. Incredible. So that is question. Comment.
Yeah, I don't know how I ended up with Sean for my move here, and I'd already moved from a house in Greater Vancouver to Nanaimo, was moving to an apartment, got him. He is the best.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, and you might have your own person that you want to help. So why do we bring Sean in? Because he will move you. I mean, I've done jobs for him where I've packed the houses up, Sean comes in for part 2. But we call upon him on a regular basis because when we're downsizing and decluttering your home with you, we need him to take things away. And we can talk about where those things go. I just want to talk really quickly about the donation. I had a client say to me once, well, how do I decide what I take and what I don't take? She's actually not moving, but she just wants to get into her den. And one of the things I recommend is ask yourself, how will you feel if you get rid of it? I still kind of use it. Okay, you just answered your own question. Or is it something that I use on a regular basis? If you haven't used something in the last 6 months, chances are you're not going to use it. I know we all have stuff like that. So think about the use of that item. Think about how it makes you feel. Yeah, you know what? I can get rid of this. You know, it doesn't bother me too much. Selling, typically you're selling non-sentimental items. I sold sentimental items because I just knew that no one in my family wanted my Royal Albert. Sold it. Did I get what it was worth? Not even close. Not even close. You know, antique pieces, I'd like to think that we can get a good appraisal on it and it can be sold at an antique auction. That's the best case scenario, but sometimes it doesn't happen. I wanted to say on this slide, there's actually 4. We don't really tell you until we go into your house. You get to think about that item. Because you can't always decide right away, like, should I donate it, should I sell it? So there's a 4th pile called maybe. It took you 20 years, 30 years to get all that stuff. It's just not gonna go away overnight. It really is a process, and that's why we talk about it's not too soon to get going on this, because we want you, because I think what causes the overwhelm is the time. Shoot, you know, I got to be out of this house in 60 days. And then a realtor calls us and said, hey, Raylene, can you and Haley go in and do this? I want them out in they want to move out in 60 days. And we're like, oh man, you know? And we're going into places that have garages that look like that. Well, that garage alone could take a month if we're taking our time and we're going through things with you. Not everything's junk in the trunk. So, you know, when we talk about that 4th zone pile, it's temporary. It's because you want to think about it. And I have a client, and she says to me, oh, I just so thankful for your notes and so thankful for your recommendation. I usually do like a little flyer that I give her about how to get started before I come and in between. Is, you know, she goes in there and she said to me, it took me a lot of courage to go into this room, but I make myself go in there every day for 15 minutes. And I didn't really think too much about it. But then I thought about it later and thought, of course this is going to be really, really hard for her. She's got photo albums. Her mom's passed away, so she's going through stuff, recipes, you know, recipe cards. So thousands of recipe cards. I kept finding more recipe cards. So she's going through every one of those recipe cards, and she's keeping a very small box that we got for her, and that's her boundary. There's your box. So she's taking all these thousands of recipes and she's going to fill that box. It's a process. So that fourth category really is sort of a space that you can kind of park things temporarily till you really know how you feel about it. We're going to help you with all that stuff. We're going to get you to that point where you're going to feel like, ah. As you can see, when we talk about the 3 categories, there's a lot involved, right? This is amazing dialogue when you think about our stuff and what do we keep, what do we donate, how do we sell it. If we don't know what to do with it, we're going to find the right people to help, whether it's appraisal, whether it's where things need to be donated. We can talk about selling, and again, just one quick note about the selling piece. Ian hit the nail on the head again. Things are not worth what you paid for them. I'm going to pass the baton off to Hale. This is her forte, so fly at it, Haley.
Okay, so I'll keep it short. Some really important questions. Why is it important to stage your home? Staged homes look better. That's obvious, right? They give a good first impression and they add value. It's makes sense. Staging shows off your home in its best light and it highlights its features. So I can help you do that. I can help you set your home up so people notice the special things about your home instead of seeing boxes and junk and furniture placed in the wrong places. So it adds value, it really does. When we stage and restyle, we do a lot of depersonalizing. And it's hard because those things are special, we've talked about that. So we do a lot of taking family photos off the walls, replacing it with a piece of artwork. It's depersonalizing the space so that it enables the buyer to see themselves living there. Instead of seeing all your family all over the walls, they just see the house and the special features that your house has. I always say, this is one of my best quotes, or best sentences I've ever heard. You only get one chance to make a first impression. So stage it. It's a good first impression and it'll sell and it looks better and it gives the impression that the house is worth more and it's a good buy because it's a beautiful home.
That's why decluttering is so important and refining your spaces, because Haley will come in with what decisions we've made in part 1, and she's going to take what you're keeping and all that, and she's going to it's going to be like bam, it's going to be amazing. So that there's 2 parts to it.
And one of the projects we're working on now, we're using all of the contents of the homeowners, all of their contents to stage the house. We're not purchasing new items. We can do that. You can rent new pieces of furniture, but I can make it look good with your stuff. And we just add pillows or flowers and we make it look fantastic. So there's not, you're not going out buying a whole bunch of new things. So we do have props to rent, but in most cases we use your own contents to make it look really good. I can also do a pre-sale consultation. So I come with you to your house and I say, you have a budget to spend on renovation. I say, this is what I think you should do with that money. This is going to get you the best bang for your buck. So that's another service that I offer prior to selling. So, and then it's staging the home, packing, staging, getting it ready for sale.
Do you want to talk about unpacking?
You can talk about the unpacking if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have one more
go
thing
ahead.
to add on here.
Okay.
Post-sale. So when you've downsized, you move into a smaller home, a condo, whatever it may be. I did touch on this before. I can help you with space planning that new space. So you bring your sofa and your chair from your old home. I can help you place it, lay it out, so it's functional and comfortable and it looks great. So that's kind of a post-sale service that I offer also. You take over packing.
Yeah, I just kind of thought it was a good time because this is something that Haley this is her expertise, is really that appeal of your home. Staging, getting you set up before we even show up, before movers even come. She can help with that whole pre-sale piece. But the other piece on the other end is now you're in your new home. And you're like, oh, wow, now what do I do? You're dealing with less stuff. You liked how it was placed before in your other house. Haley's going to come in and she will style that place, but we can help you unpack it and help you figure out where that stuff needs to go. Because you have this memory of it being over here in this place and you really loved it. And it's a little daunting and overwhelming. So this is really the piece that ties into some of the downsizing, is helping you get your new place feeling as amazing as the previous place was, or better. We'd like to think or better, right? So anyways, I just wanted one last little quote. And we say this to our clients when we go into their home. Change is the hardest at the beginning. with probably 1,000 things that we can say in our lifetime. It's the hardest thing in the very beginning, to make decisions. We know that it's messy in the middle. When we start rooting through your boxes and your garage and your pantry, it's going to be messy. But it's going to be the best at the end. It's going to be beautiful at the end. You're going to have a downsized home. You're going to have a very beautifully staged and styled home.
And we talk about how it makes you feel physically, because it creates peace and harmony and calm in your life. It really is amazing,
Yeah.
the transformations that we've seen in people when they've downsized. And they just feel good because all the stuff is gone. And now you can enjoy your life. So it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much. Thank you.
We're going to wrap up today with my friend Dale Harvey. His company is called Compass Point Financial. And the idea is, good news, you sold your house for $1 million. Even better news, you found a townhouse for $700 or $600. You've got $400 left. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to make my money last as long as I do? And that's what Dale does. Okay, please welcome Dale Harvey.
Hi everyone, thank you. Can everyone hear me fine?
Not yet, but you're going to protect your voice.
I'm going to try, yeah. My mom's always called me the loud talker, so I'll try and live up to that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and how I help my clients here today. I'm going to talk about investments. I'm going to talk about tax considerations. I'm going to talk about the financial planning process and what a financial advisor should do for you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Put your hand up and we'll try and address whatever concern you have for yourself. And if you're going to get as much out of this as you possibly can in the next 20 minutes, I encourage you to put your hand up and we'll see if we can help you out. I started in this business in 1985, so I've been at it for a little while. And there isn't too much I haven't seen before as far as what people do right and what people do wrong. And hopefully you might take something away today that'll either help you make the right choice or prevent you from making the wrong choice. Most of the people that I'm looking at in the room here today are in what I would call the third trimester, okay, of our lives. So what that means is that, if the average life expectancy is just shy of 90, if you're over 60, we're in the third trimester. And what that means to me especially is that, in this last, 25 or 30 years, if that's what you have, it's so very, very important that you don't make any mistakes, because you really don't have the time to recover. So the thing about financial planning or having a financial advisor is that there are a lot of things that a financial advisor does for you more than just invest money. And I have a couple of slides here that it doesn't quite fit in the format for this slide, but there's actually 50 things that I like to address for my clients when it comes to their overall financial plan. And if you'll bear with me for a second, I liken financial planning or being a financial advisor as it's like a wilderness fishing trip. And the objective over your time while you're dealing with a financial advisor is to get as many fish in the boat as you possibly can. And the idea is that with an advisor in the boat with you, they've been down the river 1,000 times before, they know where the rapids are, they know where the fish are, and they know what it takes to get fish in the boat. If you choose not to have an advisor working with you, there's a good chance that you're missing opportunities because you're only fishing from the shore. And it's too easy to make a mistake. I was talking to, I think, this gentleman here, talking about how complex the situation is out there as far as investing is concerned. So when it comes to your bolus of cash, and when you decide to sell your home that you may have been in for any number of years, this may be the largest block of cash that you've ever had to deal with in your lifetime. Does that ring true for, I'm not expecting a show of hands, but does that ring true for anybody here? And if it does, why would you not want to have an advisor in the boat with you instead of trying to fish from shore? Okay? So what I do with my clients that are going through this same process is I try and look at what it is that they're trying to accomplish while they're downsizing and what they should be doing to protect themselves. When it comes to your income requirements, so let's say that you're in a home, you're basically debt-free, or you have a small mortgage left, there's no commitment other than your utilities on a monthly basis. Your lifestyle's pretty simple, right? The demands on your income are pretty limited, okay? Well, now when you have a bolus of cash, what do you do with that money so that you can enjoy, the time that you have left? And so maybe you want to spend more of it in the next 5 years, and then spend less of it as you're less likely to be able to move around. Like I said to my wife the other day, we should be going to Ireland now, because if I see a castle that I want to go to, I can actually get there, okay? If I wait another 10 years and we go to Ireland, I'll just have to point at it and say, I wish I could get there, right? So you want to have a plan to spend the money that you are going to accumulate or come into if, in fact, you've made money on the property that you currently own, okay? When it comes to sources of income, there's a number of places that you can expect money to come from. So I'm going to ask for your help. So if you had some sources of income, what would they be in your retirement? Pensions? Anything else?
RIF investments.
So you got a RIF? And by the way, if I or we use any terminology that anyone's not familiar with, please speak up. Anything else? How about a LIF, which is a little bit different? What about a TFSA? Okay, what about a non-registered account? Does everyone know what that is? And then, of course, we've got CPP and OAS.
I'm glad to at the bottom.
Well, thankfully, we have access to those. CPP, of course, is dependent on your contributions, but OAS is pretty much there for everyone. But so you've got a lot of sources. Yes? Well, and that's hopefully what we're talking about here, okay? But the thing is you have to have a plan to save, and you have to have a plan to spend. Because ideally, and I joke about this with my wife, I'd like to spend the last $25 on a bottle of scotch, spin the top off it, and down the bottle and fall into a grave somewhere and that's call it good, right? Because my money is my money unless my kids are fortunate enough that I die before I have a chance to spend it all, okay? So with this income scenario, what you want to do is take into consideration how much income you need, and then with, again, this bolus of cash that you might have, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to keep it all? Do you want to invest it for your kids? Do you want to gift it? You can gift it to your children. You can gift it to a nonprofit. You can do all kinds of things with it. But what are the ramifications of doing that? Does that make sense? How many people here have a TFSA? How many people have more than one? Okay. In my opinion, everybody should have at least two. Okay, and the reason for that is I do not want to spend any money or send any money to CRA any more than I absolutely have to. So if I have a savings account that I like to keep in the bank, that I like as a short-term reserve, well, I can have a TFSA, and all a TFSA is a box, right, that you put money into. Okay, how much can you put in?
55 a year.
How much in total? If you were born after if you were 18 after 2009, how much can you contribute to a TFSA?
8,300.
The total everyone in this room is allowed, because I think everyone was born before they were at least 18 in 2009, is allowed $81,500. Okay, so everyone can have $81,500 $500 in a TFSA account
Is that in one or all?
in total.
Total.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you want to have some money in a TFSA, you should do that. But if you want to have money that's just in your bank, you can do that as well. So then, if you are earning a pittance of interest on your savings account, you're at least not giving any portion of that to CRA, because interest income is taxed at your highest marginal rate. So what that means is that if you are making $30,000 a year and you earn $1,000 of interest, you have to pay $250 in tax. Why would you want to do that? So you can have a TFSA that you might want to put $20,000 in, and then you might have another $80,000 invested in another TFSA that's doing more for you than just a savings account. Okay? So there's one idea for your bolus of cash where you can park some money so that you can take advantage of not having to pay tax on your investment income. All right? How many different investment options do you have inside of a TFSA?
Almost unlimited.
Tens of thousands. Okay? So here's the way I like to describe what your investment options are. Okay? So every investment that's out there is on what I call an investment ladder. And you can put your money into a savings account and get a rate of return. But history has proven, and I'll show you a slide in a little bit, that savings account pay you the rate of inflation plus 0%. Okay, so if you think you're going to have any money when you take it out, after an extended period of time, you're not, because inflation's taken every bite out of the growth on the investment. And then if you're having if you have your money invested outside of a TFSA, you're paying tax on it as well, so you're actually falling behind. Okay, so above that, you might have what's called term deposits, like 30 or 60 or 90-day term deposits. And above that, you might have, I should put this over here, sorry, guaranteed investment certificates. Then you might have mortgages that you can invest in inside of your TFSA. You can have bonds, and they can be Government of Canada bonds or corporate bonds. You can have dividend-producing stocks, like bank stocks and utilities, that kind of thing. You can have common stocks. You can have foreign stocks. You can have currencies. And of course, you can have commodities like gold. All of those you're allowed to have inside of your TFSA. Now what do you choose?
That's what a financial advisor is for.
Right, okay. Now, my definition of a financial advisor is someone that you have in your contact list on your phone. Because if you have a phone number for the Royal Bank, that's not a financial advisor. Unless you know the person who's going to answer that phone call when you hit send, they're really just someone who helps you out from time to time depending on what you ask. A financial advisor knows everything about what you are, who your kids are. I'm doing business now with 3 generations. I started off with people that were older than me. I'm doing business with their kids, and now their children are doing business with me. Because I'm a financial advisor, I wrap my arms around these people. They don't make a decision without calling me. That's what a financial advisor is, because everything that you do is going to make a huge difference as to where you end up. And you can have the best, you can have the best plan going, you think, but then the wheels fall off because you don't have a will, you don't have a health agreement, and you don't have a power of attorney. Yep. So 3 documents that you have to have today. Again, you can say, yeah, lawyers are making money. Yes, they do, but they're earning their keep in this regard. Your will looks after everything that happens to you after you're dead. Your health agreement allows someone to make decisions on your behalf while you're still alive and not capable of making them. And the power of attorney allows those decisions to be made, financial decisions on your behalf, while you're not able to make them. So health decisions and financial decisions are two separate entities. Make sense? I wanted to show you let's go back. I don't know how clear that slide is, but what it is, it's a list of investments and what they've done since 1950. So anybody that says, oh, I can't have my money in the stock market, or I can't have my money in something outside of a savings account, well, you're really forgiving the rate of return that you could be getting by having a balanced portfolio inside of either your RRSP or your TFSA or your RIF account or what have you. All of those things, all of those investments on that chart can be, they basically are all these, but it's a little more graphic, okay? So if interest rates are going up, where's the best place to have your money invested? You think? Safely? Okay. It's a good chance it will be in debt instruments like mortgages, okay, long-term investments, because as the yield goes up, the return on your investment is going to go up, right? As mortgages renew, you're going to get a higher rate of return. When interest rates go down, where's the best place to be investing? Possibly, but it's more than likely in a bond portfolio, okay? And the reason for that is because as interest rates fall, the value of the portfolio that you own that's got a yield, let's say it's got long-term bond yields of, say, 7%. Well, if the only bond yields that are available now when interest rates have fallen are 5%, now the value of your investment is worth more, okay? So when interest rates are falling, that's when you want to have a bond portfolio or some debt instruments inside of your portfolio, okay? And that could be RRSP, TFSA, RIF account, whatever, okay? If interest rates are leveling off, where's the best place to be? In a stock market type of an investment. Cost of doing business are more consistent. People understand that there's not going to be volatility with interest rates, so that the markets are a lot stronger. So typically you'll see some volatility with stock market based investments, but if companies know that their costs of doing business aren't going to be increased as a result of stable interest rates, then the return that you're going to get on your investment by owning shares of that stock or that fund that owns shares in stocks, you're going to do well. So the answer to any investment portfolio, though, is to have a combination of all of those, okay? So that you can take advantage of whatever might be happening in the stock market, which, by the way, could even include, God forbid, war. Okay? Now when it comes to people trying to make a decision about how their money should be invested, I have some very sophisticated software that what it does, it takes into consideration all of your income, okay? And I could show you here today, but the visual's not nearly as good as, and it's really quite important that you do it on an individual basis because everyone's situation is a little bit different. But I can, with that software, I can sit down with you and say, okay, here's what you have income-wise, here's what you have outgo needs for, here's what you want to do with some of your money to be philanthropic or give money to your kids or whatever, and what are the ramifications of doing that, okay? And once you see the software and you make some changes, we can increase your income, we can increase the rate of return, we can basically, there's only two things that happen here. Either you run out of time or you run out of money. That's it, okay? Ideally, you want it to be at the same day. Okay? Okay? So, but with some software, we can do some very very great calculations, and it does an extraordinary job of visually showing you that you've got this money and it's gonna long outlast you based on the kind of person that you are and the type of income that you want to have.
I have a question, Gil.
Yep.
A lot of people, a lot of us are giving our kids money to buy a house, right?
Yep.
It's just the reality. It's happening more and more, and it's going to continue to happen. Where's the best place to take that money from so we get the less hit?
Well, if there is some consideration, I don't know where you're living now or currently, but if in fact most people are living in a single-family dwelling, but if in fact you've got some portion of your dwelling that you've been using to produce income, or you've got a carriage house that's produced income, or you got rentals on the property or something, that portion of the property actually became a capital investment for you at some point when that rent started to come in. So there could be a consideration as far as CRA is concerned that if you have $1 million property and $250,000 of it is a capital property because you've been renting that piece out, then there could be some capital gains that are going to have to be dealt with. Okay, so you want to make sure that you consider that when it comes time to selling this property with the carriage house. Okay, and because more and more people are doing that now, with having some of the rules eased up on having carriage homes on their property or converting a garage even or whatever, it's very important that that's documented as to when that income started to come in, because that's and based on square footage, you can determine what the capital portion of your principal residence is. Yep.
But if you've got investments you're doing well, we're in the same situation as Ian.
Yeah.
We want to help one of our kids. Like, investments are doing so well, we don't want to take money out of there, even our TSFAs.
Yeah.
So where would you recommend you get the money to help your kids buy a house?
Well, because the costs of borrowing are so, other than today, because the markets around the world are probably down by 10% today, but it's so inexpensive to borrow money today, as long as you've got the cash flow to do it. And before you make any moves, it makes sense that you go to a financial institution and get yourself a line of credit based on the value of the property, and so that you've got a line of credit that says I can spend this money the way I want. Okay, so you can go and apply. If you have let's say 90% equity to debt in your principal residence, before you leave that property, go get a line of credit, even if you're going to sell the place and rent. Okay, because once you've got the line of credit, they can't take it away from you unless you don't make the payments. Okay, so get a line of credit for as much as you can get. Costs nothing to if you don't use it. Okay, so if you can use your line of credit, then and at prime plus a half or prime whatever it is, most investments are doing, in my client's portfolio, some of them have done 21% this year up until this month. Okay, so there's no reason to take money that's doing real well, like you were saying, and then give it to somebody who doesn't necessarily appreciate what you've had to do to get that money put aside, and use some money or sign on a loan with somebody, help your kids guarantee the property, whatever. You can do some funky kind of financing.
I just want to say something about that. If you're considering doing that, giving your children money, consider going on title with them at least 1%. Okay, and that means that the reality is people get divorced. They do. Half of us. And if you give your son or daughter $100,000 to buy a house, and a year later it doesn't work out, and the money's gone. The house is going to be sold, and you don't have any attachment to it, right? And the partner that you thought was forever isn't forever, and now your money's gone to them, and that's not a great scenario. So a lot of people are recommending, lawyers are recommending this too. You go on that title 1% with those people that when they're buying the house, and after 5 years you come off. There you go, it's great. But if they sell that house in there, they can't do it without you, and you want your money back.
Yeah. And in conjunction with that, you also want that power of attorney so someone can make a decision for you if in fact you put your name on there and then you can't touch your own nose, and then now your kid's trying to get your name off of there, and so you got to have a power of attorney in place. So, yeah. Anyway, there's lots to consider when it comes. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't even know how to phrase the question. How crucial is age on some of these things you're talking about, considering you need time? There's a time limit.
Well, what I like, if you can see 7 years down the road, because if you look on here and you look at a stock market, that yellow line basically is the one you want to pay attention to. Is there any one position where there's a 7-year gap where the yellow line isn't higher than where it was 7 years prior? Okay? So if you've got a 7-year timeline, there's no reason why you shouldn't have some equity position. I'm not talking about Boot Hill Mining Company or XYZ Resources. I'm talking about owning shares in a fund of well-managed companies that you're already doing business with, whether it's Amazon or the Royal Bank or Molson's Distillery or whoever it is. These companies have been around for 100 years. They've always been able to produce a dividend, so there's no reason why you should be avoiding them. And if the money's going to last longer than you can even consider it that the money's going to be your kids, right? So now the time horizon is one step further again, okay? So don't be shy of having some type of a balanced portfolio, even though you know you're never going to spend all the money. Because by keeping it too conservative, you're only going to find that, especially if you've used up your TFSA and your money's all non-registered, okay, then you've got taxation that's going to be a part of your situation, okay? So there's only 3 types of income that people can get in the world, okay, on your investment. There's interest income, there's dividend income, and there's capital gains income. Interest income is taxed at your highest marginal rate. Dividend income, you get what's called a dividend tax credit, so you get preferential tax treatment, so it's better than straight interest. And capital gains, you only have to report 50% of your gain. So right away, you're further ahead having a capital investment because of the tax treatment, even though it may be a little more volatile. Does that make sense? So I would encourage you, if you have a financial advisor, be calling them well in advance, much like the downsizing, well in advance of your decision to make put your property up for sale, because there's a lot of things that you should be making sure you got your ducks in a row, like the will, the power of attorney, and the health agreement, and then what you're going to do with the money at the when you are able to invest it. And it makes so much sense to sit down with an advisor who knows what the problems are that you might run into, and the situations that you could be avoiding.